Should I move to cloud-based accounting for my nonprofit? This is what I'm being asked. Y'all, are we still asking this question? Y'all know my answer. And if you don't, keep watching. And even if you do, stick around. I can't believe we're still having this discussion, but we're having this discussion. And so we're gonna start with a little news first. So if you see me putting my head down, it's because I'm reading. The internet was in a tizzy not too long ago because of news that Intuit was going to be discontinuing services for certain versions of QuickBooks Desktop. Then there's also news that QuickBooks Desktop is going to stop selling to new US subscribers. So QuickBooks Desktop is planning to stop selling several products to US new subscribers after July 31st, 2024. That's things like Desktop Pro Plus, Desktop Premier Plus, Desktop Mac Plus, and Desktop Enhanced Payroll. Existing subscribers are not impacted by this change. However, new subscribers won't be able to clearly, get these products. And so Intuit says that they will continue to provide security updates, product updates, and support for existing subscribers, and that this stop sell applies to the United States only. Why? Who knows? However, I believe that this is only the beginning, and I do believe, or I wouldn't be surprised that there is a world where more and more users of desktop products are going to be incentivized or convinced to move from desktop products over to the cloud-based versions, right? That's typically, without saying, kind of is what's happening here. There is a silent push to get users over to QuickBooks Online. But not just QuickBooks Online, right? Because this video is about cloud-based accounting, not even specific to QuickBooks Online, because most accounting software has a desktop application as well as a cloud-based version. And overall, there's a consensus that you should be operating in the cloud, or this is where you should be trending, because this is where things are going. However, I'm of the belief that this is not where things are headed. It's where we are now. It's not the future, it's the now. It's the wave right now. Should you move? Short answer is yes. Short answer is yes. I'm going to tell you a few reasons why. The first one is that it opens up your options in relation to who can support you from a financial management standpoint. And when I say who, I am referring to the talent pool, whether that means internal, whether that's contractors, whether it's freelancers, however you are staffing your organization. By using cloud-based tools, it honestly, is in relation to also assuming that you're working remotely, right? But using this cloud-based tool allows you to then grant access to people who are not right here. And so in the past, I remember working internally at a nonprofit, I worked in the back office on the desktop, which is where QuickBooks Desktop lived, right? Not QuickBooks Desktop, they were actually using Blackbot, Financial Edge, and this is before I moved them to the cloud version. However, it lived on the computer versus now where most accounting departments are not even in-house, they're outsourced. But also, even if they are in-house, a lot of organizations are not operating remotely. I've not shied away from saying I hate remoting in. The hoops you have to jump through to remote into an application that lives on the desktop is just not something that I care to do. It is also time consuming. And so that's the other piece to this. Why should you move? To save time. To save time. Things are a lot more efficient, especially when there are multiple users that need to get in and need to do things. What I really like, and now I'm going to be specific about QuickBooks Online, one of the things that I like, not only can access be controlled, but can you set different permissions, but can you have different users, right? We can see who are all the users, what are the different permissions that they have. We can control that, and we can easily add you in, remove you, but also it's just the ease to which these things can be done. I don't have to do the jumping through hoops just to gain access to my trial balance. So many organizations couldn't even access their books when we got the stay-at-home orders during COVID-19 because they had, one, no contingency plan in place, but also because the software, the desktop application lived on a computer in the office. And so if for nothing else, it's about moving into the now, updating, right? How you operate so that you could be more efficient, so that you could save time, right? And so that you could open yourself up to more options when it comes to hiring and bringing in support for financial management. And 3, it helps you to streamline the overall accounting process. And by one way is via integrations, right? Typically, cloud solutions are robust, but they're also flexible. And they allow for a lot more integration. So when we are, for example, talking about QuickBooks Online, you can integrate with different donor management tools. You can integrate with different payroll systems. You can integrate with different bill pay. You can integrate with different AR tools. The list is honestly endless. When Intuit introduced that whole store, right, quote unquote online store, a lot of these integrations are free, but for the sake of this conversation, we're gonna say store. When you could see all of the different tools that integrate with the system, the first thing that I'm thinking of is, oh, this allows me to streamline the accounting operation, our accounting operations, and make them smooth. Systems are talking to each other. We are cutting down, minimizing, and in some cases, fully getting rid of manual processes and some of these workarounds that we have to end up doing because, right, we're using a legacy tool or a legacy system. And so that is a huge benefit, and it's a huge add-on because typically in a world where organizations, a lot of times there is funding that tends to be strapped, right? Also, resources tend to be scarce. Even in a thriving organization, right? The goal is not to use up every single dime, right, in your admin space because you do have to support your programs. And so when we're thinking about how can we make things run more smoothly, it's a no-brainer to me, right? It's really a no-brainer. Getting real-time insight into your nonprofit fiscal operations. So the idea that you can just log in and run reports, and not to say you can't do that in a desktop application, but one, if the desktop application doesn't live on your desktop, there's the first hoop that you're jumping through. But also with a cloud-based version, the speed to which things are updated, the ability to which human error is minimized and in some cases even eliminated, right? It helps to get real-time insight, right? And you as the executive director or operations person, you don't have to wait for me, the controller, to send you financials, right? Now, should you? 9 times out of 10, yes. But it also helps to be self-sufficient. Sometimes we've had executive directors where it was like they, found a grant application. It was really late and it was like, oh, I had to get a P&L and get it in by midnight. Couldn't reach you. I went and pulled the P&L myself. There are some executive directors, some leaders, some management that have never even logged into their system, their accounting system. They have no clue how to use it. They have no clue how to pull a report. It's debatable, right, whether or not they should, but I believe you should know how things run and operate. You don't have to know the intricacies, but you want to be able to know if somebody is jerking you around, right? And the best way to do that is to at least know some of the basics of how things operate, right? And that way you can provide oversight when you turn it over to a service provider or when you hire someone. And then the last one is it ensures teams can coordinate and communicate anywhere, anytime, right? Because now we're talking about this cloud-based solution, right? And so I can't tell you the amount of times where we would be getting kicked out of systems and all types of weird updates or things would not be updating because I'm in it and you're in it. It is things that in 2024 would make me quit. To be honest, if I was still having those hiccups and those issues. You want to make sure that those who are supporting your financial operations are able to have a pleasant experience with the tool that they are using so that they are more inclined to use it. You want to make sure that they're able to communicate right anywhere, anytime. And this is what a cloud-based tool allows. And so those are some of the reasons why you should move over. And if you have any questions on those, if you want to debate me on those, I'm open. But why are some organizations afraid? First thing is security. I've heard a lot of times that there's a question about whether or not cloud accounting or cloud tools are safe. And I did a separate video on that, so you should watch that. Short answer is yes, but there are things that you as an organization have to do to protect the integrity of your financial data, to protect the integrity of your books. And you would have to do that whether you were using a cloud-based or desktop application. So this is something that shouldn't deter you or be the defining answer as to whether you move to the cloud or not. Also, legacy, right? There are some organizations that have been around for many, many years who are doing amazing and great work. They're just stuck in how things used to be, and this is how we do it. And I get it. You're comfortable, right? But the world is changing. It's changed. Things operate very differently now, and the level of service that you're able to get, the level of support that you're looking for, some of these things come at a cost if you are not using tools that are up to date, tools that are innovative, modern, right? And I don't like to put it out there that like if something is old and legacy that it can't work, but a lot of times it's a greater engine to make it work, if that makes sense. you gotta work a little harder, right? A lot of times there's some workarounds, right? You gotta dig in, you know, a lot more elbow grease to get things done. And so if you want things to operate a little bit more smoothly, a little bit more efficiently, right? Timely, then a lot of times this is what you get when you move over to tools that support that type of operation. And so those are the top two reasons why I say that some organizations are afraid, right? And then lastly, it's just like, it's different. It's different. They're used to being able to walk to the back office, like I said, and have their full-blown accounting team back there, able to pop in and out, ask the questions, receive reports right there on the spot. And so this notion of operating remotely and then moving your financial operations to the cloud is like, they can't imagine, but it is something that you can do, and it is something that can work and truly be a game changer actually for your organization. And so should you move your nonprofit's financial operations to the cloud? Of course, of course. Should you move to cloud-based accounting? Yes. And I stand by that. That's my answer to that. And I'll see you guys in the next video.